Michelle here, and in this video I'm going to be redrawing this drawing of Green Lantern that I did last year. You guys know my interesting kind of relationship with anatomy. It started like this stuff happened, this happened after that, I don't know why, and then now I'm able to do things like this, and I thought after my Teen Titans piece I thought maybe I could go back to this Green Lantern piece and finally redo it, because this was actually a gift for somebody, but I never felt like it was good enough to give to them because I didn't feel like I was good enough at drawing yet. So I kept saying, let me redo it better, digitally, with my skill set all pretty full and all that, and then when I think it's actually gift worthy, then I'll give it to you, which is weird. It's like, hey, I made you this thing, but you can't have it yet because it's not good enough. But that brings us to today. I'm gonna redo this guy. We're gonna see just how much better I've gotten at anatomy in 1 year. So starting out, you might notice that I am actually recording the sketch process. I decided since it was just one character instead of like 5, this wouldn't take as long to show the process of, so I decided to throw it in there anyway. This is not the first sketch that I did of this guy though. This is like the 3rd, I think. I scrapped the other 3 just because I didn't want it to be quite too long, but I figured you would at least be able to see this one. So this is probably the most accurate I've ever gotten a drawing of a human being. I mean, as far as the head to body ratio and all of that, it all looks like a person. You can see from the sketch already though that I am not doing very well with the legs or the hands. I had to look up tons of references of comic book characters and flying poses and things to make sure that I got the legs somewhat right, because sometimes it's hard to draw legs. I mean, all the time it's hard to draw legs, and I wanted to do them foreshortened, which I ended up not doing because the legs are kind of hard enough as it is. We learned from this that doing them foreshortened while learning to draw them is not how you do things. So I did it without foreshortening, and it turned out pretty flippin' great, I have to say. These last few things that I've been doing, the Teen Titans and this one, I mean, I've just been so proud of them. They seem so good, and then I go back to this and I'm like, I was proud of it at the time, but like, look at the legs though. Which is interesting, how much you can improve upon something in like a week. I don't know how it happens. I don't really practice that much, so I don't know. But you can already see the difference between this and that. Hopefully I'm putting pictures up, otherwise it's just confusing. But I mean, the difference is there. It's pretty drastic. But I did want to make sure that the pose was somewhat the same, so I had the head facing the same direction and the body twisting the opposite direction. The only real difference in the pose was that the legs are in a flying pose and not a standing pose. I decided to not do my average standing pose because I basically do that all the time. It's like my go-to superhero pose. I mean, I've done it quite a few times in the past, so I thought maybe I should just not do that and actually expand in my posiness stuff. And honestly, this, like I said before, I'm super impressed with myself. This is like probably the best human being I've ever done, and I don't know how this happened. I don't know how it happened. I do love it though, like I'm not complaining. Like I can feel really horrible and not practice anything for a week and go back to drawing and just look at a few picture references and then practice a few sketches, and then when I do it, it's like, whoa, that's way different than what I did like 2 weeks ago. So maybe there is some natural talent involved. When it comes to natural talent versus practice, I've always thought that nobody really has natural talent. It's more like if you just keep practicing and you keep sticking to things, then eventually you'll be able to get it. But I have seen cases where people don't practice anything and they just start doing something and they're good at it. Or it takes a little tiny bit of practice to get to a point where somebody else had to practice a ton to get to that same point. So maybe natural talent is a thing. I don't know. Maybe I have some. Maybe it's just that my brain retains more visually and I'm able to recreate it in a drawing than other people. I have very fond of visual things. Honestly, I can't tell you what it is. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's so flippin' fun. I actually don't even have a point to saying anything I'm saying right now. I just hope that it can be somewhat inspiring to people who are practicing anatomy and trying to get to places and don't feel like they can get there. You can get there. I mean, this is what happened in a year. This is what happened within a year previously, and to tell you the truth, I never even thought that I would get to this point with anatomy. Like, look at it. It looks like it could be on TV. Maybe not the best on TV, but something on TV. Somebody else would have to do the hands though, so I do want to mention some stuff about the lighting here though. I wanted the lighting off of his ring to be like hitting him in the front, but he is also glowing. So I did give him that rim kind of outer glow, but I also tried to do a sort of yellowy green sort of light coming off the front of him. And the reason why I made it slightly yellow is because he's already green, so it would be harder to see it on the greeny part. Even if it was a lighter green, if it was more yellow, then it would kind of set itself apart from all of the other greens in the picture. Just make it a little easier to see. When it comes to the shadow, I did add shadow, but I didn't put it all over in the picture. The front area where most of the light is hitting, I did not put hardly any shading at all. I really just aimed at the places that was like really tucked under in, that wasn't really getting a lot of light, like maybe under the chin and behind the back. Also, I aimed for places that didn't have a lot of the green lighting in the first place, like the legs. I originally did have the deeper shading within like the ab belly button area, but I thought like the light is right there, so it's not that deep of a crevice, you know, there wouldn't really be that much of a shadow in there. Plus, I don't think his suit, even though it is skin tight, is really gonna shrink wrap into his belly button. I don't think that makes sense. So I took that part out and I took out some of the shadow from under his chin because it made it look like he had like this beardy thing from far away, which I don't want. Then I just added a lens flare, which is a Photoshop thing. You can generate lens flares. I personally like the lens flares in GIMP 2 a lot better than Photoshop. You can customize them, you can resize them, you can change the color like before it's even actually put on the image, and they put it on a new layer instead of like putting it into the picture. It's kind of destructive when it's like in the picture. The background was also something I did 100% in Photoshop. I actually watched a tutorial to see how to do like galaxy things. It took me like 5 minutes to do. So all of this was 100% done just in Photoshop. I did use Lazy Nizumi as a line stabilizer like I always do, and in case you didn't know, that's how I was able to do the perfect circle area with the emblem on the chest, because Lazy Nizumi actually has like an ellipse tool where you can do perfect circles, and they also have rulers so you can draw straight lines, and perspective tools where it has like perspective lines for you. It's so perfect, I love it. There's so much more to it than just a line stabilizer, so even though it does cost money, if you guys want some extra help when it comes to lines and stabilizing and drawing circles, I definitely recommend that. But yeah, man, this is it. This is the whole thing. This is my Hal Jordan Green Lantern. And in case any of you were wondering, this and my previous Teen Titans piece, along with some other originals, are going to be on my Redbubble shop for purchase. If you want to get a print, put it on your wall. Not every piece I do is going to be on the Redbubble shop, only the ones that I feel are print worthy, but there will definitely be a lot more added on pretty soon, I promise. Also, a big thank you to my patrons. I have patrons now. No, wait, I have to do the outro. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so that I know you did, and if you're wondering what I'm doing in between videos, you can follow me on Twitter. That is where I'm the most active, but I have a list of other social media down in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!